Hello everyone. Today's poem is 大剑送别刘右史 by Lu Zhaolin. Lu Zhaolin was among the four outstanding scholars in the early Tang period, or the four outstanding poets in Chinese, 初唐四杰. They laid the real spirits for the Tang poetry, which is strong spirit, positive, with great vision to the future, and personally, they are quite ambitious to serve the country, to serve the emperor, to serve the people. Anyhow, all of them end up very sadly. Lu Zhaolin was born in a very famous family, Fanyang, Lushi, where is quite near Beijing city today. He didn't go through the imperial exam, but started his career as a secretary, as a local governor. Later on, he had some misfortunes. He was abandoned to a place, Xindu, which is quite near Chengdu city today, as a local governor for a small county. And this poem was written during his stay near Chengdu city. From this poem, we can still feel the ambitious Lu Zhaolin got. He was so eager to go back to the capital city to serve the emperor again. Anyhow, according to the history, from this time he got a small illness, 风疾, or the illness by the wind, and it's most probably is the measles, and the illness became more serious, and finally he had quit his job and go to the Chang'an city, not because of his ambitions. He wants to find good doctors to cure himself. Yes, he find the best doctor in Chang'an city, Sun Simiao, the so-called the king of the medicine in the Tang dynasty, Sun Simiao. But even the king of the medicine, Sun Simiao, cannot cure him. Because of the illness, he even gave up Confucius, which is the methodology and the mindset of the governor, of the emperor. He started to practice Taoism because the Chinese doctors, most of them are Taoism people. Finally, he went to the most famous Taoist mountain, Wangwushan, and tried to practice Taoism for the purpose to cure his illness. The result is negative. His illness was getting worse and worse. Both of his feet was handicapped, and then one of his hand handicapped, and he decided to say farewell to his relatives, and he killed himself by plunging to a river. All the four outstanding poets in the early Tang period, they all have the characteristic of strong mind, positive, and Lu Zhaolin also featured with classic writings, which means he has much more focus on the emperor, on the country, and also from the writings, he focused a lot on the surroundings rather than inner minds. That's classical in the classic Chinese literature. Now let's look at the poem. 大剑送别刘右史，卢照邻。金碧禺山远，关梁蜀道难。相逢属晚岁，相送动征鞍。地咽绵川冷，云凝剑阁寒。倘遇忠孝所，为道忆长安。The title 大剑送别刘右史. Dajian is a place name, or specifically a mountain's name. 送别 has two meanings. 送 is see someone off. 别 is departing. So it's basically two things. In today's Chinese, 送别 is one thing, see someone off and departing. So it happens at the same time, same place. And in the ancient China, it's two different things. We can see it in this poem, which is song, which is 别. Liu Youshi is the friend of the poet, and we have no idea who this guy is. Youshi is the title of his position in the government. So from that, we only know his family name is Liu, and he also was an officer. And as we know, for the moment, Lu Zhaolin was a governor in a small county in Xindu. Basically, it's Chengdu city, it's a suburb of Chengdu city today. The Mount of Dajian is roughly 400 kilometers north to Chengdu city. So we can see Lu Zhaolin actually walked his friends for 400 kilometers to see him off. And at this point, at the Mount of Dajian, the two was about departing. Thus, Lu Zhaolin wrote this poem. So you can feel how different the ancient Chinese custom is different from today's. And you should know song is so different from 别, which is see off. So they can go 10 kilometers, they can go 100 kilometers, they can see his friends, best friends off and walk him for 400 kilometers. 金碧禺山远，关梁蜀道难。The gold and jade Mount of Yu is so far away. The blockish castle and the mountains on the road to Sichuan is so difficult. Okay, let's get to the words one by one. 金 the gold, 碧 the jade. So this is the most noble and prestigious materials, can resemble someone or something or someone's characteristics. Yushan is mysterious here. So in today's China, there's two Mount of Yu. One is in Guangzhou city, the other is in Henan province. Anyhow, from the context, there's not a chance in this poem refers to those two Yu Mount today. And also, Yu has another ancient term, Yugu. This is a very special place, means when the sun goes down, it fallen into the valley. The valley was so called Yugu. And here we can, I think the poet take that term and change that term from Yugu, the valley of Yu, to the Mount of Yu, which means the mountain which hold the sun. So the sun is always associated with if it was associated with a person, it's always the emperor. And this makes a sense because the emperor was always surrounded with gold and jade, and he was the most prestigious, most noble person in the world. And so if we take this explanation, so the first sentence is quite simple. The emperor is so far away because the poet Lu Zhaolin was abandoned to Sichuan province. Even it's not such a far place for Tang people, but he feels it's so far away because he wants to serve the emperor directly at his side. 关梁蜀道难, so 关 the blocked castle, Liang the mountain, because between Sichuan province and Chang'an city there was a huge mountain, the South Mountain. We have heard this name so many times in the Tang poetry. The south edge is in the Sichuan province, and the Dajian, the mount of Dajian, is at the south edge of the South Mountain. So if Lu Zhaolin want to go back to capital city, he had to cross that huge mountain. And the road between the Sichuan province, Chengdu city, and Chang'an city has a special term, 蜀道. So this is quite clear that the way back to Chang'an city, he had to go through the blocked castles, and he had to go through the huge mountains. These two are all the obstacles. It's not easy to get through. And also this road, 蜀道, between Chang'an city and Chengdu city is the most difficult road in the world. Li Bai has a very famous poet, 蜀道难. The title is 蜀道难. The last three characters, 蜀道难. It describes how difficult the road it is, and also it was used to implicate the career path is so difficult. So this road, 蜀道, is always a very normal word in the Tang poetry to describe the career path. And in these poems, more delicate and more relevant because the poet happily was at Chengdu city, and the physical road you go back to the emperor is 蜀道 as well. 相逢属晚岁，相送动征鞍. So this is telling about the time. So the meet-up between us is already at the very late of the year. So it's the winter's time. And also it implicates how hard the road is. It's covered with snow, with ice, and they are going through some of the mountains through all the way. 相送动征鞍. So I'm seeing you off, and I moved my saddles of the conquering. 征鞍, the saddle of conquering, was always associated with riding horse. So the poet was riding a horse to see his friends off for 400 kilometers. 征 also normally implicate of conquering, but here I would rather take it as to describe the difficult the trip it is. In the winter's time, snow, ice, mountains, rivers, is always a difficult trip between Chengdu city and Chang'an city. And even till very recently, when I read some of the history books, just say 100 years ago, the people, they on their feet, when they go from the Chang'an city to Chengdu city, it takes 2 months to walk through. And today, with the high-speed trains, 3 hours. 地咽绵川冷，云凝剑阁寒. The Mian River was so cold, and the sound was a little blocked with sadness. 云凝剑阁寒, the cloud was frozen above 剑阁, and it's so cold as well. 冷, Han at both ends of the sentence, they all refers to cold. So in Chinese, no matter in Asian or modern Chinese, when we say someone feels cold, it always means he feels sadness and loneliness. So it's double coldness and double sadness in this poem. 夜, it means someone is crying, but the sound was stuck in his mouth. So the sound is not clear and stuck, but it's crying. And here it used the ye to describe the water under the eyes. It flows not smoothly, and the sound was stuck, and it feels very sad. And the clouds, because of coldness, a cloud is just like looks stuck as well, as looks like frozen. And Mianchuan is a place name, and it's the midway between Chengdu and the Mount of Dajian. Jiange is a very, very famous block castle. So whenever you saw a poem referring to Chengdu city or something between Chang'an, the capital, and the Chengdu city, they always mention this very famous block castle, just like the Great Wall outside of Beijing today. And here also, the Jiange also refers to the first sentence, 关梁蜀道难. The Guan is block castle, and it refers to this famous block castle, Jiange. And so in this sentence, in the previous sentence, the poet tells us the time and the things, what happens. The time is late here, and he's seeing his friends off for 400 kilometers away. And they go through the very cold Mian River, and they also go through the very famous but also very cold block castle, Jiange. The last sentence, 倘遇忠孝所，为道忆长安. This sentence is the main reason why I introduced this poem today, because I'm going back to Chang'an city tomorrow, to my hometown to see my parents because of the Mid-Autumn Festival for the family reunion. I'm going back to see my parents. But it reflects the different feelings. 为道忆长安 is, for me, I think the Chang'an city, my parents, so much. I'm always want to find an opportunity, a chance to go back to see my parents. And in this poem, for the poet, let's see the first sentence, 倘遇忠孝所. So this is a word he's telling his friends, hey buddy, if you encountered the place of 忠孝. 忠孝 could be the most famous 2 characters in Confucius. 忠, loyalty, and full service to the emperor. 孝, loyalty, and full service to the parents. The meaning, they are almost same, but they are the different character refers to the different people. 忠 always goes to the emperor. 孝 always to the parents. But in this sentence, we can feel that it both refers to the emperor. We can feel this in the last sentence as well. 为道忆长安. Be careful. 为 is fourth tone, not second tone. 为 here means for someone. And in this sentence, it means for the poet, for Lu Zhaolin. So the last sentence means, for me, please tell someone I am thinking of Chang'an city, the capital city, always. So in the Tang poetry, the capital city, Chang'an, almost always refers to the emperor, the central government. So let's see the last two sentences together. Suppose if you encounter the place of Zhong and Xiao, please for me and tell someone I'm thinking of Chang'an city, I'm thinking of the central government, I'm thinking of the emperor, always. So 忠孝所 here means the place of 忠孝, to fulfill the loyalty, to the emperor. So that's the central government as well. 忠孝所 means the central government or the emperor as well. And in Taipei city, Taiwan, there's two main streets, 忠孝东路, 忠孝西路, the west street of 忠孝, the east street of 忠孝. So you can, as far as you read this poem, you know what does it mean in Taipei city. As we have shared at the very beginning, this poet, Lu Zhaolin, was quite classical. So we can see it from this poem. So basically, he never has a word on his own feelings. He used all the scenarios, the surroundings, the natural wonders or whatever to reflect his feelings. The 金碧禺山远, so the emperor is with gold and jade was the most noble and precious. 关梁蜀道难, so with large castles, with huge mountains, the road is so rough, so difficult. And the river, the sound was so blocked, was so suppressed, and it's just like someone's crying and with not much voice. The voice was blocked in his mouth, in his throat. And because of the cold, even the clouds frozen at the very high mountain of the blockish castle, Jiange. So it's all the surrounding and the things happened along the 400 kilometers away way of seeing off. And finally, he expressed his feeling, is not feelings, ambitious, his thoughts directly. So that's also classical. Please tell the emperor, I'm thinking of Chang'an city so much. Okay, that's the last sentence is just the feelings for me as well right now. I'm going to take a high-speed train starting from Guangzhou city and spend 8 hours traveling roughly 2,000 kilometers and back to Chang'an City, or today's Xi'an City. Okay, that's all. I'm so happy and I'm a little bit excited. And bye bye. See you next time.